pace. Last game being their second best
Hey guys, we're gonna
performance
watch
that
the
they've had
finals.
so far here on the day. So signs of very promising play coming out of that duo. For Cold and Rapid, here it is. They're getting their hands dirty once again, and that's their fourth elimination now. Just really flexing the fact that Steamy Stacks, they have this drop on lock right now.
Yeah, and the only thing, honestly, if you kind of look at their stats when it comes to damage, they're up there. They're in the top. When it comes to eliminations, they're close by as well. It's getting inside the money points. And what I mean by that is that top three. You get the 10 extra for winning. You get extra points for second and extra points for third versus the +4, +4, +4 with each placement. They have a fourth, a fifth, a seventh, and a 12th. They're just failing to get inside of the actual big money points. And if they can do that in these last 4 games, they could put themselves in contention of qualifying here today.
Yeah, I had to assume like Rapid's making the decisions, so it's either just a lack of confidence because it seems like when they made the calls for height, I mean they put it all on the table and that backfired, and they sort of tried that 3 times so far. So I am curious to see how that's going to continue to kind of develop, right? And then they can patch that up. I think they'll be in excellent shape because clearly when it comes to fighting, I mean we don't got to talk about that, right? We don't got to break that down or analyze it. They're doing exceptional in the fights. It's I think the end game decision making that needs to be worked on.
Yeah, and just taking that quick peek at Clicks and Higgs, 0 eliminations. It feels like almost a drastically different game than the one they just had, where I think they had 11 or so elimination. Higgs was just putting on a clinic, a show for everybody to watch at home. So it's interesting to see going from that and having one of your best performances of the day to where you pull zone on this side of the map and you're almost forced to have things slow down because you're already where you need to be. So hopefully that confidence continues to stay at an all-time high for this game. I know for Bolts and Acorn, confidence has to be at an all-time high today. They're the only team with a top 10 performance in every single game, a first, a second, a sixth, and an eighth, and they've gotten eliminations in every single one of those games as well.
Yeah, Acorn knows better than anyone. Stick to the plan, and the results will come. And you know what's really interesting about Acorn? He's typically like a late game tournament performer, right? We call him a day 2 adjuster, but when you have Acorn starting off on such a strong foot, that is a sign that he is in top shape today, whether it's mentally or otherwise. I mean, he's got to be feeling good after that new signing, so I think everything's just kind of lining up for them, and they still have a chance to come first in this tournament here. Peter Botfolio, as aggressive as ever, though, opting to go for that early high ground. We talked about this continuing surge of confidence, and this is a sign, Jacob, that they are taking more and more risk.
A little bit more closer to the side here for you guys to see the whole screen instead of the ball in the background.
To deal with, and Peterbot has it on lock into the distance, light off the fresh reboot, literally seconds before it turns off. He's knocked. It does look like Blex was trying to get the revive, but in comes Clicks and Higgs. They crash again. They not only clean up that elimination, but they stop them from reuniting as a team.
Yeah, they get it just in time right there, and look, just delivery of Blue right here. They have, I mean, they get their share of the pick right now. Seems like Shockwaves are all going to go to Higgs right here. King and Jargu making the on-foot rotate. Peterbot, Shockwaves off the high ground, looking his way to make his cut straight across the field here.
We were calling you watching
I'm
this.
willing to bet they're going straight for high ground again. They're just sizing it up at the moment.
Yeah, they know they got a couple more mountains to climb, and their approach here is instead of taking that risk where you shockwave and run the rest of the way there, they're just pausing. They're waiting for other teams to make their rotation in, so they're simultaneously doing it, so it lessens the chance of them getting tagged on the run. Cold and Rapid actually pop over the top and get that down on the King. So now Jargu is also left as a solo. There is more distance to cover for Cold and Rapid, but they are well on their way there.
Oh, that's a painful elim right there. Falling at plenty of material, Cold now completely capped off, and we'll see what they end up doing with that. That's going to, again, give them that second thought. Do we go for high ground? Their 5-5-5 coming into zone 7 is insane. Meanwhile, Acorn and Bolts, though, steady and true. They haven't even moved an inch. They just have that high ground, kind of looking over that natural elevation, but this pool's completely opposite here. It's going north now, so all of our competitors having to deal with a lot of movement right here.
And it kind of goes slightly down the mountain, kind of up a little bit, different hill here. So For that team that's on the front, on the low ground, you got to be ready to make some elevation changes here in this next rotation. As Peterbot speaking to the cone, gathering that information, getting ready for his own rotation. They want to go ahead and get to the front side of the zone. They know there's more distance to cover as it continues to open up, but they don't want to have to play catch-up.
See how it's going to go. Shockwave's coming out. Paper, Resi find themselves just at the edge of the zone here. They have to take a little bit. But no pressure, no stress. Paper knows how to navigate these better than most. Yobzo, Riley, finally make their way to the party. Cold and Rabbit showing up on the outside, and they're going to take those bets and go for low. Okay, so I was second guessing of whether or not they were going to go for high, and they seem to have learned their lesson. They just want nothing to do with it. I can respect the plays here, but here we have it. The real end game is upon us now. 17 duels remaining. Do keep in mind, placement points are earned at 15th.
Where it really starts to matter here. You got a whole mopping and regular up above. That's been the team that's been going head-to-head against Cold and Rapid over towards Steamy Stacks all day long. But you said it yourself, 8 zone, typically a little bit too early to gain height, and that's exactly why Peterbot and Boy are simply moving in front of the zone. They're constantly looking up, assessing the situation, even building up when they have to, because they know how destructive it can get down below. Higgs and Clicks going through a similar thing, trying to get in front. They're sacrificing ticks of the storm, using amendments to gain it back, all for the sake of positioning inside.
Peterbot does this so well, singling out a duo on a different layer, kind of hunts them down, forces them off, and now all of a sudden, I mean, they just have complete control of the mid-ground. Cold and Rapid on the other side, playing this low ground, and it's kind of gone off this mountain here, so things are definitely changing here. Bolts on the other side. Still no Elans for Acorn and Bolts. They're just hanging in, staying true to the front side of the zone, trying to avoid pressure, but Cole finds Olsen there. That's their 6th elimination now, and they are flying up the leaderboards here. Still, though, placement points yet to be earned, and finally, Bolts opens it up, cracks open the lid there, and he finds his first one and a set of Elans.
Yeah, better late than never. A much-needed one as well. The materials they got is going to keep them looking good. Peterbot and Poyo from the backside of the zone all the way to the front. No chance to threaten height, or at least not just yet. That means regular mopping have free reign to just shoot down below, pressuring everybody else. Eliminations or not, they're smoothly walking through the finish line. Peterbot is down, just like you said. There goes the speed bumps. There goes a chance for Poyo to show exactly what he's made of.
I mean, we talked about this, the fact that they kind of fell early last game, opened up the standings for other teams to close that gap, and now with no Peterbot, I mean, we've seen Boyo clutch up before, but this is a tall ask here in this type of format here where there's, again, destructive itemization in play here, but Boyo kind of biding his time here. Meanwhile, top 7 Elans for Agers and Ritual will keep tabs on them as they're really starting to heat up here, possibly even up the mid-ground, the high ground, but no, Ritual falls there, and it's to the hands of Boyo, a crash course between the two, and they just collide on screen. What a capture for us to watch there, and it's Boyo who's just making work here inside the top 10.
Yeah, this is where if you're anybody else, you want Poyo to go down. Displacement points are just raining in. Finally, it happens for everybody else in the lobby. That's a breath of fresh air, a sigh of relief. The point gain has stopped for both. This is important. This is how you continue to close the gap. Another elimination. Siphon with the shockwave. He doesn't want to over-jump too far in the zone. He does it perfectly. Not only gains the elevation, but gets to the front side. But this is where Perfect starts to run out. 5 builds left. Immediately uses 2. Both is going to have to think outside of the box of where he's going to get the materials needed.
Cold and Rapid still in the game as well. Look at this. 9 Elans. The decision to stay on the low ground. Definitely the better one as we're approaching top 5. And Cold gets in the mix. And he said he basically has a double pump in hand. And no, Bolts didn't see him. Just behind the wall. Knock, knock. And he is there to go ahead and kick that door wide open.
Shadowing. Still alive, he's the solo, that's short-lived. Bolt takes him down as well. It's Colt's 8th elimination of this game, 12 as a team. They set their eyes on the sky, they're shockwaving up. Rapid is there as well to back him up. Mopping does take some damage, but everybody finds themselves back down below. Rapid and Colt try to reset the situation, but it should come exponentially harder. No build to protect. Shockwave towards the side. Rapid is still by himself trying to live here as regular and Moppings are starting to heal up in zone. The Siphon, the HP, they have everything needed to take the game away from Rapid and Cold.
I was looking at that, I was like, this can go either way, but what an exceptional shockwave play right there to really seal the victory royale. Just genius play, and they absolutely deserve it. Game 5 is now concluded. Regular and Mopping come up out of nowhere there, Zeke.
Guys, okay. This is how I know Fortnite is one of the craziest games to ever exist ever, and that anything ever can happen. Okay, I want you, Vivid. I want you to guess where you think regular and Mopping were placement-wise. You think they were in the top 10?
No, I know they were in the top 10.
Because they were last place, and yet they came out and got a victory royale in a lobby like this against the caliber of players we're seeing like this. They just ran the high ground. Vivid!
I mean, hey, for a team that is not only in last place coming into this
Not
game,
anymore!
also went ahead and kind of looked at their stats prior to this event, you know what I mean? How much experience these guys have. Have we ever seen them in FNCS finals before? Nope. I've never seen them in any finals before. And for this team, kind of not only come out of nowhere in terms of experience coming into this tournament, but then inside of the tournament itself to be last place and then go ahead and control the higher ground, which is kind of arguably, Kelly, like the hardest thing to do in actors that come in the higher ground. We've seen some top tier teams today holding this, and then this team is able to go ahead and pull that off. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, I was so confused for a second, trying to see who was on high ground. I'm like, is that a plane? Is that Superman? No, it's a bird. And to see this team do so well on the high ground, and to have teams try and go and fight for that high ground, and them kind of denying them, that to me is really what was impressive. Is that it wasn't like they were just holding high ground because everyone was kind of on the low ground paying attention to each other. They were able to control that for a few zones, and honestly, hopefully we get to see more out of them in these following games.
That's how I know. That's why I love Fortnite, dude. Anything can happen. Anything will happen. And of course, we'll have where they might be on those leaderboards after this short break. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be back with more action on Fortnite. Let's go.
Is that still crazy, guys? It's like we have like 2 more games left, and then when the games are over, I'm ending the stream. But I just got done from eating dinner, so that's why I'm gonna wait. When we're not busy next weekend, I'll do another stream of it. But I don't know what the payoff's gonna be yet. Might be the same one. But when they start talking again, I'm gonna be quiet so you guys can listen.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Reload Elite Series. So, shocking developments here. Team in last place got themselves the Victory Royale in the last game. Now, the question is, where do Mopping and BRG go from where they were in 20th place? Well, all the way up to 13th. Take a look there. 7 placements up. I'm telling you guys, this is, again, why I love Fortnite. Anything can happen. A single game can just change everything for anyone. Suddenly, teams who don't have the spotlight on them can demand the spotlight. What an incredible time. But that's what we talked about before. All right, I just wanted to put a nice little bow on that. Now let's go up the leaderboard. Let's take a look at how things are shaking up at the top. Okay, let's take it all in here, guys, because what started as like a crazy lead for Peterbot and Pollo is not the case anymore, right? Like, this is very, very close right now.
I mean, I cannot believe it's a 14-point difference. Like I mentioned before, seemingly that this whole thing was just going to be the Peterbot and Pollo show, but the last 2 games out of them have been a little slow. I mean, we know what happened in the last game. Pollo went down kind of early on, and then just simply rotated right there out of Peterbot, getting kind of clipped over there. Pollo kind of left as a solo to go ahead and try to clutch things up. Man, Kelly, it really stinks for them, but they are just opening the door wide open for the rest of the competition to go up here and contest them on the leaderboard.
You know how you'll watch Peterbot and Pollo compete, and then they'll start to jump on stream because they're already confident that they've already qualified and that they don't actually care about the remaining games? I'm not saying that's what's happening right now, but I do wonder if there is a level of overconfidence coming out of Peterbot and Pollo because of how dominant they were after the first 3 games that we might see them trying things out, and I can expect that the next 2 games are going to go back to what we kind of saw at the start of the day.
Yeah, I feel like that's true, right? Because, like, historically, you know, Peterbot starts strong, and he kind of like, all right, I'm having a good time, I'm coasting, and it's like, okay, you guys starting to catch up? All right, my bad. Let me just assert dominance again. Just go ahead and climb my way up back to the leaderboard. Here we go, 20 Elim, VR, ha ha ha, you know, classic Peterbot. We'll see. Plenty of games, though, 3 left to go before we close up the Reload Elite Series here. Of course, looking back at that standings, though, Acorn and Bolt, 2nd place, again, right behind Peterbot and Pollo, okay? This lead, again, it's the difference of a single game, right? Like, both Acorn and Bolt can very easily close this gap, right? Especially with the fact that Peterbot and Pollo, you know, they've kind of had some unfortunate situations, but you can tell Acorn and Bolt, they're thinking the same thing. Look, we can win. We can walk away in first place. $20,000 for coming in first place. It's doable right here, right now, Vivid.
Yeah, this is actually on the back of a Bolt solo clutch as well. Able to pick up 4th place, 3 total eliminations for him right there. So great job by him to go ahead and continue to close that gap between him and first place. As we're starting to get later into this competition, remember, top 2, 1st and 2nd place, is what everybody is kind of looking for you, because that's going to qualify you to EWC later on this year. Some other teams that are kind of looking to get very, very close to that top 2, it's of course going to be 3rd place Shadow and Virgo, only trailing right now, Kelly, by 8 points.
Oof, 8 points, and that's going to be the difference between if you go to EWC or not. I could not be them right now. The amount of pressure that this team must be feeling, Virgo and Shadow, one of the dark horse teams that honestly does not deserve that title, because Shadow has been an incredible player for so long now, and maybe they finally found their spot in Reload to really shine, to really showcase their abilities. We already got Victory Royale out of them, but can they get 2? I mean, with how they've been kind of running the low ground right now, I think that is a possibility, Zeke.
What's crazier, too, Shadow Virgo, 249 points. Cold Rapid, 239. We got Cold on our heels right now. The competition, no one is safe. Really quickly, we wanted to highlight some stats from the kind of first half of the competition. Vivid has pulled some stats for us. Walk us through this, because this is a little bit insane.
I mean, every single time that Peterbot is in a competition and we showcase the eliminations and the damage dealt, he's always at the top of the leaderboard, right? So going to be going ahead and leading in those respective categories. I feel like somebody else, Kelly, that we always see lead a specific stat as well, is going to be Cole. I feel like every single time, he's just the best at getting such a good damage ratio.
No one wants to touch Cold. Cold can dodge bullets like he's in the Matrix or something. I don't know how he does it, but someone that needs to be dodging maybe a little bit more is Iamzo with 13 respawns. That's a little rough right there.
It's just Higgs, man, right? We saw him not that long ago taking that fight right to Iamzo. But listen, this is Iamzo. Everything's fine. Everything's chill. 3 games left to go very quickly for this last few games. What are you guys hoping to see? Are we looking to change things up? Stay the course? What do you think?
Oh no, we gotta stay the course, right? I mean, our top 4 is just so close right now. If this keeps going, our last game is gonna be absolutely crazy.
Where's that goldfish? I know that there's a goldfish in there. I want to see it peek.
I didn't call that out for that, ma'am. She did. That's on her. Light her up, not me. All right, guys. With that being said, game number 6 is ready to go. So, casters, over to you.
Yeah, I gotta say, at first I was thinking, is this gonna be a runaway train? Are we gonna have a boring NA? No, not anymore. The standings, Jacob. We got a tournament on our hands.
Yeah, even I thought a runaway train, a 2-horse race. Nope, at this point in time, we got 4 teams looking to take those top 2 spots and really get rid of the pressure for the rest of the Reload Elite Series qualifiers. You get a little bit of freedom. You can condition your drop spot. So for these next 3 games, no mistakes can be made because you can probably wave your chances goodbye if that happens.
Yeah, and hey, look, Kelly said something exceptional. We're gonna break it down here in just a moment. So let's jump on that battle bus.
Coming in quiet, guys, for this.
Monster, usually when Kelly says that, I'm about to say, when she says something, I want to listen. So what did she say?
I mean, when we break down Shadow, right, I was trying to think. I've known this team and seen this team for so long, and then I thought to myself, what was the problem they were having in all those other games? It's their draw spot. They haven't had a chance to really get that tier 1, opportunity at Luke, right? But you put yourself in
maybe
Reload,
that's just
it's
a
like early game is not a
little
problem
bit
no more
more.
if you
Just
can
a
get
little
past
bit.
that.
Not
So I
much.
think
Just
we are
let you see
seeing
the whole
this
screen.
game mode really open up and possibly highlight the fact that, hey, there are going to be players that are going to excel in a reload setting that otherwise have a bit of a harder time in the traditional battle royale kind of situation. So if that all starts to come together, I mean, this is really going to take form and be a super interesting series.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Sometimes just making it through that mid portions of the game in regular BR can turn into a nightmare. Traveling through the open, especially if you get that max pull. This time around, with so much mobility, a smaller, more condensed map, yes, it does come with its own risk versus reward scenario, but it does cut out a lot of different risk in its own mind due to that mobility. You're seeing in the feed, King is going to go ahead and try to take down Josh. Higgs takes the usual fight against Ark early on. They did such a good job of closing the gap. If they can keep up this pressure, maybe get this elimination on the Ark, start to build up a plan, it will look good. But nice shot by Ark to shut down Higgs, and then he gets that slurp juice from it.
Yeah, I say finally, Ark bites back, man. We know what this kid is capable of. He is so good when it comes to just head-to-head clashes. But the last couple games he has had a little bit of a harder time in the first engagement. This time, no board though, so Higgs is really eating his words here as he comes through. And now it's up to Ark and Kanata to see what they can do. If they can actually turn this around and get the momentum against Higgs and Clix' duo.
Yeah, see, I asked the question earlier. I believe it's his first big final. Yep, there it is, confirmed in the quick stat. Ark's first big final, and it's an interesting one at that because you get known for playing the regular BR, one of the best fighters in the game, and then you kind of get tossed in a reload where, yes, they might have practiced for it, but after the years of playing Fortnite, the differences coming into play, they're not necessarily having the tournament they would hope. But with 3 games left, there's money to be won for each and every one of these placements. So even if they don't find themselves in first, you can move up $2,000 here, there, and even $4,000 in some places on the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, as we all know, so that's just a bonus, right? We all know that the real fight is typically for the prestige when it comes to these players, Everyone remembers who took first place, but second and third are shortly forgotten afterwards. But hold up. As I'm looking off to the left-hand side here, Regular and Mopping, have they just found their second win right now? Coming off the win, now all of a sudden finding some fast eliminations here in the early game. They just don't seem to be taken lightly anymore.
I mean, sometimes that's all it takes is that one little momentum shift to start to boost the confidence. And this has been a team that Cold and Rapid have been crashing on almost every single game. Lights and Flex as well. But this is a team that was taking some of the loot away from Stevie Stacks. Cold tries to push it again. He gets sent back to the reboot. Luckily for him, Rapid is still alive, and they do have that POI to themselves. So if you haven't watched it, you might not have guessed later on the game that Rapid did go down, as Ritual and Agers are going to take down I Am Enough. And this is where it starts to get interesting. You're seeing a lot of early game eliminations coming out of our contenders.
Peterbot, no shield right now in a box fight here. What all went wrong? Let's see what's happening though. Seems like he doesn't care about Oliveira or Jason's HP pull. They can have the advantage. He's still going to fight. Not even looking to pause here as Pollo's got the other side, so of course he's looking to support him. Pollo should be the finisher. That's one big tag. Doesn't quite get it. We're just moments away likely from a quick Elin here. And there it is.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what loot dropped from him. Yeah, as I suspected, no HP to regain. So whether it was Pollo and Peterbot or the zone itself, because of that damage, he was definitely on a clock, a short one at that. Teeks, I Am Enough. They're back up over towards Slurpee. They're just trying to get the scraps that Peterbot and Pollo may or may not have left behind. I saw Rapid taking out Bleaks in the feed, and now Cold is going for the second elimination on the Lights. He just needs to stay alive long enough, and you see in the mini-map, he did just that. He did get Bleaks back into the game.
Yeah, just inching out that little bit of time that he needed there. And Cole, I love what he did. He marked him. He's like, do I really want to take him on right now? Maybe not. I'm kind of out of position here. There could be another team looking at that player come down as well. And then he backs off. So, well played on him to just have constraint, right? As a veteran player, a lot of people see players like Cold or these other players that are dominantly known for being fraggers, and they think, oh, they can't make decisions. We talk about that. They're watching two of the best fraggers and decision makers in the game here. Back at it, pushing through.
Oh my gosh, that shockwave turnaround shot from Pollo on the chase, but he gets flanked himself. Pollo does go down. He tunnel vision just a little bit too hard onto I Am Enough. He gets flanked. Peterbot now stuck in a reverse position here, having to stay alive. And since nobody's really putting pressure on, he's going to get Pollo back to the game, back to their drop spot. So it's going to be no strange thing to find them with a good loadout again.
Let's not forget, this game 6 here, there's 3 games in front of us. This one on hand and 2 more coming. And we really are in a close competition right now. Peterbot and Pollo kind of easing up the pedal here have allowed teams like Shadow and Virgo that have been consistent to remain up at the top. I was looking at like the overall performances from Acorn and Bolts. That clutch, that 4th place, if you just look at it from a bird's eye view, I mean, they look like they are playing almost perfect Fortnite, but these games don't come without their troubles. So you can even see Shadow and Virgo not taking any risk here. They're content with being up at the top and in the running for a potential win here.
Yeah, they realize, hey, just no mistakes. It doesn't need to make any big plays. They did that just to get to that point. Now it's just minimizing mistakes throughout the game as Peterbot continues to go on that rampage. They have a 23-point lead over 4th place, Monster. 2nd place is a little bit less than that, but it just goes to show, like, hey, maybe their aggression, maybe them going down a little bit early has hurt their momentum so far in this game, and it's happening again. Only 1 elimination split between them. Ritual Agers, they were the ones that got it, and now they find another one onto Aloe. They, too, at one point, were sitting in 3rd place on the leaderboard, and they let it slip through their fingers. To start this game, they were in 6th place with 153 points.
That could have went any way. If Ritual and Angels jumped on Peterbot there instead of Oliveira down on that low ground, we could have possibly seen this whole entire dynamic shift, but Pollo comes in and gets caught again instantly. Doesn't even get to touch grass there. It is all over. Jumping back to Chris and Drew. Game 1, they showed up. They had us all thinking, who are these guys? They are still in the conversation here. I mean, if you look at how Mob and Regular were able to pull themselves from 0 to 13th at 80-point game, it shows you that any one of these players in the 160 range can truly jump up.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. It shows to show, I think, over the years that anything is possible. Is Acorn and Bolts again under the radar. And one of the biggest differences that I've seen so far is we've watched Poyo, we've watched Peterbot, we've watched Higgs, Ark, Kanata, Cold, Rapid hunt down their eliminations early when they are uncontested. Acorn and Bolts are uncontested as well, but they're playing together the entirety of the game. They say, hey, if we're going to win or lose this game, it's not no desperation looking for eliminations. It's because we deserve to win this tournament.
Such different play dynamic here. On screen, Agers and Ritual, though, back at it here, making a rotate. They're going deep into the storm right now, just likely content with all that they have behind, and they're going to play for the outskirts. Just give them a little second there.
Taking their time. I want to say I'm a little worried, but again, with all the mobility in the game, it's still early. It's a one-tick zone, 5th zone on top of that, to where usually teams are looking to play a little bit careful. 2 zones before reboots turn off, but Agers, Ritual, they find themselves in a scuffle so deep in the zone against Jace. This is a team they've been fighting most of the day, landing near each other, but this almost looked like a desperation play coming out of Jace. He's on the clock, probably has no heals, trying to push in. The zone is just chunking him out. It almost feels like Agers knows what's exactly about to happen. Let zone do the rest of the work. He gets knocked. A huge giveaway, but luckily for Jace, he bought time. His teammates back into the game. It may be a bleak opportunity, but at least it's one.
Yeah, Agers, all he has to do is just get a little bit of damage on him for the credit there. Look, you give it a second, and Peterbot and Boyo turn back to get back in the storm here to try to find the fight. And look, you know what's kind of crazy about this is, talk about teams being content and playing a bit more passively, right, in late into the game. And then there's Peterbot and Boyo. They haven't stopped pushing for it, but what do they have to show for all that activity, Jacob? Nothing. They only have a single Elim right now.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate the way some of these fights have shaken down. Some of them getting stolen away, but this game, Poyo was probably taking a little bit too many fights, kind of getting put in a blender. That kind of slows down the Peterbot train that we know he can be. Forced to stay alive, get the reboot. Luckily for him, he does have himself and Poyo fully in the game with not too far of a distance to go before they're in zone. Just the western side of Dirty Docks, whole opening into the middle that's going to open up in about 50 seconds. So there's a lot of space for those players that are on the western side of the map that have yet to touch the zone.
Yeah, a lot of control there for Acorn and Bolts. Peterbot, Boyo, playing off that super pad here, getting right into the zone right now. Land, they see some fresh terrain here to play off of. Peterbot burns through so much of his brick. My gosh. I don't think he expected things to go that way.
Just want to rush in and watch
Here's
at
the
the same
leftover
time,
down the
so
low
that's
ground.
why.
Huge risk involved going straight like that. Not gonna lie for what it's worth this late in the game, but I guess the gamble pays off for them.
A small chance to kind of refarm there as well. But where this next zone is going to really hurt how much farm they can actually get, and anybody else that's trying to do that same thing on the eastern side of the map. And it goes far west this time around, so that is going to be a max pull for a good chunk of the lobby. Nobody really having the front side. I think Cold and Rapid see it. They were assessing the situation almost the entirety of this time, and as soon as zone opens, they're one of 2 teams to immediately start to rotate.
Very nicely done. Quick decision making there, no hesitation. Flex and Higgs on the other side, just a single Elim. Makes you wonder what all happened in that other game where they just really peeled the Band-Aid off and kind of went for it.
You know, we talk about a 23-point gap to start this game between first and fourth. From there, it was about a 95-point fall off, and that team was Clicks and Higgs. So with 3 games left, if you could somehow figure out a way to repeat that performance Monster was talking about, where Higgs had at least 8, 9 eliminations by himself, Clicks having a few, getting into the double digits. And if they could start to get into that money placement as well, we could see a 4th team, or 5th team, I should say, enter into the mix in terms of contenders. As Curve and Craze make their way on over, Flowberry Fizz mix in the Shockwave. That means they can one-hop their way to safety.
Old Acorn finally starting to get active here. This does seem to be around the time they like to just turn on the lights. You know, they just come out of the woodworks. They're like, all right, we're in zone 7, we're in zone 8. It seems like this is where they get the most comfortable so far. Acorn and Bolts are the one of 2 teams that haven't respawned a single time. I'm telling you, they're playing this like it's a completely different game mode, and somehow it's still working out for them.
My jaw dropped. I'm like, what? Like, how is that possible? Who's the other team? And obviously, they're not winning all the games. They do go down after reboots turn up, and it just goes to show how pristine their game plan actually is coming into this point. There's no unnecessary risk, and you got to give Bolt and Acorn all the credit in the world. Both of them are one of the few FNCS champions that we actually do have on this lobby. Bolt's won a solo DreamHack LAN as well, so he is somebody that has continued to rise up the ranks. Both of them together, I think, make the perfect team. Peterbot and Poyo, one elimination, a little bit slower, but I think once you start to realize you're in the second half of the day and the score isn't as big as you would hope, sometimes you gotta flip that switch and change things up.
Oh, for sure, and it's working out right now. They shockwave on in, but here, the name of the game is get positioning, get to safety. Meanwhile, high ground, much different visual from the last time. Early on here, Olsen and team are looking to go in and get a bit risky here as they go up and truly commit the resources it takes, but Peterbot and Boyo come right up behind them, and you see in the feed there, on their way up, they land the double pop onto Osid, and it happens off screen, but he falls before you know it.
Yeah, Poyo falls as well. So Peterbot again is going to be stuck by himself. 19 teams still left alive. I use the word teams loosely. There is a couple solos running around, but Peterbot, this is a whole different game. He no longer has to play to help and protect Poyo. He plays with a complete different style of freedom, and that's where you're seeing him immediately get the green light to go, realizing he's a solo. Even with damage there, he's forced to back off. Down below in the other screen, Bolts and Acorn using that men miss to get to the front side of the zone. Now they're going to crash pad, or I should say shockwave their way through all of these builds and increase their elevation. They are layering on these strategies one after the next.
Cold and Rapid want that first place seat, even if it's temporary. They are fighting their way up. Clicks and Higgs are still in the fight as well. 3 elims for them now. They had a slow early game and a fast mid to end now as things are starting to pick up for them here. Higgs eyeing up the situation, downloading what's going on around them. Shadow and Virgo sticking true to their very cat-like playstyle, just silent as ever, inching their way around, not making a fuss, not making a splash at all. This is a very non-flashy playstyle from them, and it is working.
Yeah, they're not trying to get any of that attention. You feel like, hey, if we gain attention, they're going to get targeted. As Peterbot using the last of the slurp juice, going out and around, gets the knock onto Chris, but instantly goes down shortly after. And now this opens up a lot for Acorn, for Bolts, for Cold, for Rapid, anybody that's still in the hunt. As Batman, Cho, and Lawrence, they get the exotic slap cannon. That's almost infinite heals if you have the time to let it recharge. Cold and Rapid, they're next on that list. 4th to start this game, another elimination, 3 more points plus the plate. They are rising up fast.
Definitely the worst performing game right there for Poyo and Peterbot. You know, not a lot of elims and definitely falls short, so it's going to be pretty tough. And look, Higgs is also solo right now, and he's going to play the Memphis deep in the storm. You know, I'm surprised we haven't seen more of these types of plays here on this kind of level of the tournament, considering how many abundant, you know, Memphis we've seen in the inventories. But Cold and Rapid still turning online right now. They have jumped their way into the conversation as well.
We're going to have a new first place team after this. It's just a question of who is going to be that team. As Cold and Rapid, they're trying to condition everybody next to him, push them out. He has the drum gun in his inventory. It burns through those builds in order to find damage. Higgs still keeping it going as a solo, though, on the right, but he's running out of builds. Less than 10 left. He found himself a sweet spot on the side, but there's somebody else on the other side ready to knock on that door.
This is crazy. Cold and Rapid. Top 6 now, almost a top 5 here. Ultimate low, but he's running low on material. There it is, a good cutoff, but left camera peak, we all know, is not favorable at all. So look how they switch the things around here. Meanwhile, Higgs is still going as he finds paper there on the low ground too. He's got material, he's playing the storm here, and he's just a disruptor in the lobby.
Yeah. Now Higgs got him a smooth sailing high ground pressure dome, and that let Cold and Rapid notice, hey, there's somebody else around. They went in for the elimination, and these are the 2 teams that have a chance to take first. But Rapid goes down. Acorn falls as well. Bolts versus Cold down below, but it does not happen. That's I'm enough with the flank as him and Teeks flying under the radar on the high ground, steal away that game and take their moment.
The second time we've seen it happen now. The team on high ground just ever slowly, ever lurking, coming through and sniping that victory out in the final moments. And just like that, game 6 is over there, Zeke.
What did I say? Anything can happen. This time it's not last place, it's 14th place. again, guys, I don't know what's happening, but like there's just like a point in the game where we're just like high ground. I don't know that never. I don't know what's up there. What's high ground? I've never heard of that. And it allows these teams to just kind of slowly. They just take a deep breath. They just play out their game, and it all goes their way. But for Tech and I Am Enough, man, it's a victory royale. I mean, there's prize money on the line with 2 games left to go. If they were to string this together, maybe they could bring it to top 10, top 2. I don't know. The world is our oyster, Vivid.
I know, it's kind of crazy, right? I feel like on NA, we're kind of watching our lobbies just fizzle down, just based on how all of the teams on lower ground are kind of playing, right? You would maybe expect to see a lot more plays using these shockwaves to kind of go up and take the high ground, but I feel like a lot of the time, some of these teams on high ground are getting this kind of like free ride all the way to the end, but they're choosing their opportunities perfectly. They know exactly when to go ahead and drop down and take that face off right now, and it's just been working out so much, and it works out perfectly for this team as well.
Honestly, that was the best situation for them to be in, holding high ground there. When you have Cold and Rapid on low ground, Acorn and Bolts on low ground, Higgs as a solo on low ground as well, you really don't have to worry about anyone kind of looking up at you because there's just so much action going on in the low ground that they were kind of safe to just walk on through until the very end. But of course, they did get the final elimination. I do not want to discredit their win there. They played that so well and took advantage of what was going on in the low ground.
I love it. Another piece of key information here. Peterbot Hoyo did fall in that game outside of placement. And the implication is quite big. So, let's take a look at the standings after this break. When we return, prepare for shock.
We got 2 more games left, guys, and then we'll be done. It's about to start, guys. Got 2 more games, and then when the games are over, I'll end the stream. So. The reason why it's not working all the time is when I'm playing Fortnite, because there's so much going on in the background, like in the game. So maybe that is why it keeps ending so much. But it hasn't done it in a while, so that's good. I've been watching it on my phone trying to make sure it doesn't do it.
Welcome back. Are you prepared for shock? Good, because these standings will go crazy. In the last game, I kind of talked about it. Peterbot Pollo, they fell outside of placement. You know, they have a little bit of a tough game for them. Kelly, we kind of talked about this a couple games ago, but you know, sometimes they kind of go crazy. They have these crazy games, and then maybe it's overconfidence, maybe it's cockiness. I don't know. But then we kind of have these games like this, Kelly, and it kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah, you know how I was joking before how Peterbot and Pollo like to go a little silly when they already know that they're qualified? They might need to step back a little bit, reframe where they're at in this game because the first two games just look so good. That's exactly what we expected out of them. And then these last few games from Peterbot and Pollo just having these like rough late games, and it truly isn't like they're making that many mistakes. Vivid. There's just so much going on in the low ground right now. It's hard for Peterbot and Pollo to keep up.
Yeah, and as you can see right there, after that game right there, falling short of placement points, they do drop down into third place, and we have not only a new leader, but also somebody else that is in contention right now for those qualifying spots to EWC. Acorn and Bulls have kind of been holding on to that second place spot, but Cold and Rapid jumping into first place now with 310 points, and what a run that they have been on ever since game number 1 happened, right? Go all the way back to game number 1. They were on the higher ground. They fell short, 12th place. Ever since that game, they have consistently just gotten better in placement. They went from that 12th place in game number 1 to 7th, 5th, 4th, 2nd, and then repeat there in this last game to another back-to-back 2nd place. They are playing absolutely out of their minds. As soon as they kind of gave up the idea of higher ground, they've just been dominating the low.
100%, and they're doing this play that I love where they kind of stick to the side of low ground a little bit back. That allows them to not use too many mats, and you can see here that they were very low on that. It allows them to play a little bit safer but also get great peaks once they do kind of push themselves to the front, going from that side to front, and that's where all the action is, and they're just able to get so many elim because they're farther away from everyone else. I love the play that we're seeing here from Cold and Rapid. It is some of the safest ways to play in-game, but also with the ability that we have from Cold and Rapid, they're still able to get those eliminations. They're coming at it from both fronts, and I'm just so impressed.
Evolution, man, right? Like the meta within the actual meta of the tournament, these guys have it figured out. And with 2 games left to go, we could be looking at the winners of today. We also wanted to highlight here 2nd place now, Acorn and Bolts, right? They've been holding on to 2nd. They've been looking at Peterbot and Pollo ahead of them, just thinking like, how do we catch up? But they've stayed consistent themselves, right? Even just taking a look at some of their placements, they've not had a single game outside of top 8, Vivid. What?
Yeah, I mean, they're just playing out of their minds. Their average placement right now is 4th. They are doing so good. And honestly, you know what? Listen, you have like the best IGL on your team in Acorn Bulls, incredible fragger and everything like that. This hasn't just been done, by the way, as you know, staying alive is like that healthy duo. I've seen some solo clutches out of bullets, but whenever these guys are able to go ahead and find it into the end game as a duo, they just do so well. It is crazy to see the consistency of Acorn as a player across not only multiple years of competition, but now multiple game modes as well.
And once again, to just kind of talk about what I was talking about with Cold and Rapid, they just play these end games so well in the low ground. You can see that once they're a little low, they'll move to the side or maybe even go to the mid ground where they can kind of take these little quick peeks to the teams that are on the low. And then once they're healthy again, that's where they push for the front, turn around, and then just let everyone fall into them. It's such a smart way to play these end games and kind of allow to control a low ground that is so uncontrollable in a mode like Reload.
The chaotic nature, man. It's all about finding like that serene calm within the chaos that is the game mode and the meta. Like, and again, these teams are just figuring it out, right? You got some that is clicked, some that are holding strong. Man, for others like Clicks and Higgs, right? We kind of continue to kind of go back and forth. This game again, Higgs was left by himself as the solo, but still a 4th place with 4 eliminations, right? Finding those clutch factors, being a solo, saying, look, even if I'm alone and I'm solo, I have to get points. I have to clutch up for us right now.
I mean, it's not being necessarily shown on the leaderboard right now because they are in 5th place and they are trailing by quite a lot of points, almost 100 behind Cold and Rapid. That game from Higgs was definitely a standout performance of the day, potentially. He was a solo from 16th and survived all the way down to 4th place, right? That was 39 points that he picked up by himself in this game, keeping them in contention, keeping them in top 5. But is time kind of running out, Kelly? We only have 2 games remaining.
Also, for him to do that with the loadout that he had, where he had, a gray pump or gray sentinel and a green AR, and to still be able to last that long and to still get eliminations, I mean, there's a reason Higgs won the solo series, and we're seeing him do that here as well.
And Dave, you called it out, right? Time is running out. 2 games left to go. Is there any advice you would give to the players right now, right? With 2 games left to go, we're looking at qualifying for EWC or not.
Win, don't lose. There's my best
thing.
piece of advice.
Oh, wow, I feel like I can't beat that, so I'm going to go with that answer.
No, Kelly, don't let him get away with that. Anyway, Fortnite fam, 2 games left to go here. Remember, we're trying to aim for the top 2. If we end in top 2, we move on directly to EWC. There's no more need for qualifiers. We're good. We're safe. If not, we're looking to go to the next qualifier. So for now, get ready because game number 7 is upon us. Casters, over to you.
You know what they say, time flies when you're having fun, and so far, these 6 games have been out of this world. We're going to be here on game number 7 with 2 chances left, Monster. It's truly anybody's game.
Yeah, our time's flying, and theirs is running out. I mean, there's only a couple of games ahead of us. The standings are closer than ever. We talked about the risk-taking from Peterbot and Boyer really loosening up their playstyle. Even the last game being hyper-aggressive, almost forcing the fights there, staying inside the zone, and it did not play off, unfortunately. So we'll see if they can actually find those early game elims here, Jacob.
Yeah, or at least some placement points, 16th, 10th, 16th. Those are the last 3 games that they played. They got to return back to that championship form that they're looking to compete at. Game number 7 is here. Will they return? Let's find out.
Gotta love some Fortnite here. Game 7 is in front of us. The Reload Elite series is truly heating up now, and if you're just turning in, yeah, it's different. There's 8 games, right? It's not your traditional 6. We have a bit of a longer stretch, but these games are so much more faster paced, and the action never stops. These are fights that we've seen now. Everyone here, Jacob, has figured out the early game dynamics. We all know his strengths and weaknesses, but the real question is, who is going to pull through now in the final moments?
Yeah, I like the way you kind of said that because that kind of hit me right now. 8 games instead of 6. Wasn't really thinking about one thing, and one thing truly is the mental game. How long you're playing throughout the day. It's the same time span, but you're running through games, and once you start to set down on yourself, then things can start an avalanche. But you start to feel that confidence, it could be a whole different story, and you're seeing the same continued fight from Boom and Base, the same uncontested fight over at Steamy Stacks. Cold and Rapid, they don't even necessarily loot the entirety of the POI, which is why you see later on in the game more and more teams coming over here for loot, because what Cole does is he gets his loadout and then he just runs for eliminations.
Look at this, Jargo and King talking about teams catching early game fast elims. Got this one happening right there, and Josh is down and out. Yonzo here just trying to pick up the broken pieces, figuring out what all went wrong here. He's on a side of the mountain too. What a desperate spot to be in. Pinched between Arc and team as well. And look, they're going to be happy, content to just keep farming them out the sky most likely.
Oof. Yep, just on the tail end. I was even thinking right now, even if King and Jargo don't get the elimination, he's rotating into somebody else's territory regardless. So this is going to be tough. And I think Jargo and King kind of have the right thing in their mind. In earlier games, we have seen players kind of chase around the solos. They assume, which is right, that Iamzo is boxed up right there. As long as they don't push Iamzo out of that position and continuously get the elim on a Josh, they will respawn there over and over and over for 3 free points as long as they can close out that elim.
Take a look at this though. Just Demon tries to make a big play, but no, Rapid too quick on the trigger here. Turns things around, and it just shows you what happens when you are in top form. We talked about the mental game. They are feeling good right now, and I got to give them a lot of credit because when you looked at game number 1, how things just went south, all of a sudden they are figuring things out, and the adjustment coming out of that first round is really showing off. Peterbot and Boyer, we doubted them a fair bit off of that last game aggression, but look at this. They're clawing back into it. 2 more elims picked up now.
Yeah, and it's basically both on that same player as well. When you got something that's working, you don't need to fix it because it's not broken. It's Clicks and Higgs again. You see them stretching out, but this time around, instead of going for elimination, Higgs setting up to try to get that drop. And one thing that we're talking about is the eliminations. Cold and Rapid have been farming a team over there game after game after game. Acorn and Bolts, I mentioned that they have not done that one singular time. They haven't even been rebooted at all in this entire tournament, and it's 11-point difference. Again, Monster, it could come down to eliminations.
Good rule of thumb right here. So when you have any advantage, you press on it. Shadow and Virgo breaking the norm here. Remember, they were hiding game after game, and this time they're like, wait a second, we have an opportunity to turn off some big eliminations, and they take full advantage of it, and they find Paper here. There goes the finish. And, you know, we were giving them that description of, hey, this is a team that's just keeping a low profile, but it seems like now it's time to pop out and play the game. Paper, though, getting targeted by Lawrence there, and oh, look, caught by Stiff. Back into the hands, potentially, of Virgo, though, now. He falls his way into the warehouse here. We'll see who ends up securing the Elam. There it is. Virgo does get it in Shadow with the finish. They didn't even expect that, Jacob, but look, gifted for the second one now.
Yeah, and that's for the first time today. That stat showed up about Acorn and Bolts not rebooting at all. Paper and Resi was that second team who have not rebooted, and then now Paper goes down twice. All good things do come to an end as Peterbot gets another elimination onto Flex, just keeping things going for them. And honestly, with how much of a lead they've had in this tournament so far, coming into Game 7, the first time on the day not having that lead, and honestly, everything is going sideways because even Bolts finds himself getting elimination early, and you're seeing that, I wouldn't call it desperation, but every single trick is now being unleashed in these last two games because you don't want to look back at a tournament like this saying, hey, I wish I would have done something different and have those regrets.
Yeah, Bolts and Acorn was a team that was being super non-confrontational for their first 7 games, but this one just seems like you couldn't avoid it. Bolts find himself at 13 HP off the respawn here. Just an AR in hand. What do you do? What can you do here?
Not much, because you can't even wait for the zone. You have such little HP. You gotta hope to find some bandages or something. As Yamzo does go down for the first time here in this game. Josh, though, able to get alive. And I spoke about earlier about how Cold and Rapid don't loot their whole POI. Josh and Yamzo are one of the few teams that have consistently rotated from their contested boom and base drop to the back end of Stevie Stacks to try to pick up that loot. And now their position, though, is going to be given away.
Jumping back into kind of Josh's perspective here. Very strong loadout. Ambush possibly looking to kind of take shape here, but Yamzo is way out of position and hurt here as well. Acorn falls down too. Okay, wait a second. This is terrible. We already know Bolts barely had anything to play with, but Acorn getting caught out. The entire plan just seems to be crumbling here.
I'm not going to take credit for that curse. It was the quick stat curse, man. Both of the teams that have not been rebooted all day long are having struggles in the 7th game. Bolts finally finding a moment here, not only to get rebooted, but you see him at the back end of that dock. He's going to start his fishing journey. That's something they do in their actual BR mode as well. So, again, a lot of those tricks coming out. Acorn finally hits the ground, gets a shotgun, even a chance to heal, but they're hot on the heels. Jace with a monster shot to get Acorn's HP down low, but neither one of them really have any HP to regain outside of Aloe, so Acorn is going to go down to the zone itself.
He thought about it, tries to make a fast escape there, use the shockwaves, but Oliveira has 3 med miss, so even if he wanted to, he's got the battle on his side here. Definitely favorable terms right now for Oliveira and Jace. Meanwhile, Bolts is just sticking to the strategy of keeping a low profile right now, staying alive for as long as he can to see if Acorn can just manage to find his footing here so he can bounce back in this game. On the other side, completely different story, right? Surfy Swamp finally back in control for Peterbot and Boyo. They're up at 3 elims. They have plenty to work with, and this time they are converting on the points for the elims. So easily here and now, you're watching them just close the gap.
It's kind of what they do best, especially during their major 3 win. Almost a perfect scenario in terms of eliminations and actually winning the game to come out on top in that tournament. Just not wanting it to come down to that in the last and final game of the day, and that's why you see them consistently trying to pick up the pace. If they're going to win or lose, it's going to be at decisions that they made throughout this tournament. rather than lack thereof, as Boyle continues to look where Flex is out, spots him out. He continues to try to create a little bit of distance with the shockwaves, but they have mobility of their own, crash pads, and they're immediately beeline like a fridge to a mammoth. They're sticking.
Yeah, Boyo is precisely the reason why you don't want to come to Slurpy Swamp. He is on you. Like white on rice here. There it is. There goes the finish. My gosh, 4 elims now. And you know what they're gonna do. They're gonna stick around, and they're likely gonna just try to do their best to farm this duo right here. I don't even think they want to finish it, right? They're gonna let them get to the edge of zone. They're probably gonna push that first box they see. This is a team that is, highly tactical when it comes down to making the fight back into the tournament, right? We know Peterbot's championship mentality. He will never give up.
Yeah, and they have launch pads on top of their buildings. They have the Flowberry Fizz. So even without shockwaves or crash pads, which they're going to have them, but they can easily make it in towards zone with little to no worries. As we jump on board Shadow and Virgo, 254 points. With those 2 eliminations so far, they're just not only putting themselves in a position to where they have that extra loot, but they're just rising up that leaderboards as well. But unfortunately enough, 3rd place right above them is Peterbot and Poyo, so every elimination they get, they just kind of have to match.
And watch it go down here for Bolton Acorn. This is... Oh, whoa. Look at the loadout. I see a golden fish in there.
Who needs a pump when you got a golden mythic goldfish? If one-shots builds, man, if you play your cards perfectly, I think this could work out for Bolts. You see in the abundance of extra med kits, so he has no plans to move to zone as of now.
For someone who came in with a great AR, we were literally questioning life at that point. How is he going to come back? He's got the mythic fish. I think his stars are aligning here for us, y'all. So if they come back, we know why. He's just blessed. We'll see. Paper, Resi getting back to it. So from a team being never rebooted in the game, remember this is the first game they do fall early. Has it pushed them out of the game? Doesn't seem like it. They seem to really gather themselves back into this fight here, and I appreciate the fact that they're still in the running right now. When you look off to the side, though, Clicks and Higgs, much better position here. Loadout's looking exceptional. They can make a lot of moves here.
And you see them even trying to steal away elimination. I just see people again. Flex is it's just unfortunate. Again, this is just kind of the way the Reloaded Fleet series is going to work. It's the way Reload works in general. As this game continues on further and further, Zone 4, Zone 5, Zone 6, for example, reboots are still on. You can get back into the game, but probability is a whole different story.
Yeah, you can see in the feed there, Peterbot just back to back on Flex there, the finish, the knock, to pick him up. I mean, he's just making a shake right now, and it's paying off. He is slowly gaming the system here to catch those points that he needs to just fly his way back up. Look, 286 down at the bottom left. They're at 7 elims now, right? This is what they wanted to do last game. They didn't quite find the execution, but this time, give him a second chance. You say 3rd time's the charm. He doesn't even need it.
Yeah, and you kind of saw in that replay as well, that big launch pad that they do have. They see King and Jargu rotating right next to him, and instead of competing for position, they immediately drop down below saying, hey, we're going to take the spot we want. You can have whatever's left over. But they inadvertently put themselves into a target for a quick couple of seconds. Multiple teams spraying over in that direction. Thankfully, the dust settles. The med mist smoke does go down, so Poyo's going to have a chance to heal up here. Zone hasn't moved yet, so they're just actively trying to get ahead of the curve.
Like what we're watching on play here. Genji's Ager ritual right now against Twisted Mind, Bolts, and Acorn. Might be setting ourselves up for a really big fight here. You keep in mind that Zone 7 here is closing. There's no more coming back here. This is do or die now. Bolts and Acorn, great rotates around the outskirts here. Look at the material count, Jacob. He catches the throw. I was just going to say, you got to do something big. And Bolts just whacks him upside the head. But no, in comes the crash pad from another team. Acorn's down and out. He needs the finish, and it doesn't come in time.
Uh-oh, 2nd place is now down and out of the game. Monster, I was thinking for a second, almost laughing to myself, he doesn't even have a shotgun, but he tried to make it work. He even re-picked up the goldfish, one hit the wall to actually get the elimination, so at least he's able to get points for his efforts in this game. So huge plays being made by Agers as well. He gets the knock onto Acorn. He sees a team making a desperate play and quickly capitalizes to take advantage.
They wasted no time. It was just they were just too close as well, right? Like things just lined up for them so perfectly there. But hey, you live, you learn. It was a good try, and that is by far their poorest performance here so far. So everyone gets one, and that's going to be their game. It's going to be a game 8 race for them now. For everyone else though here, Jacob, I mean the moves are on. Iamzo and Josh still trying to fight their way back into the conversation here. Curve and Sin doing the same as well. Big 7 elims, look at that. They are very much in the battle here.
Yep, 21 points through eliminations. Still need 3 teams to get down, though, so they can start collect those placement points. But for Cold and Rapid, they already know what's in front of them. One of the best teams that we've had, one of the most consistent on the day. 322 points and counting. You see the 3 shockwaves in their inventory as a just in case. But now Cold is getting pressure. Agers of Ritual, they get the wall, they get the control, and they get the elimination onto Cold. Now Rapid is left by himself. We already have second game down and out, and now we have first place playing it out as a solo. All before placement points have come in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure we've even seen Rapid have to play a full solo this far out. Like 15 duels up, as we know, is just chaos in the end game. It is incredibly difficult to get to that placement point threshold. And Shadow has the same problems here. We highlighted this team's ability to stick together, keep a low profile, but no, it seems like that has not worked out for them so far.
Yeah, already, like I said, second place out. We got first place as solo, fourth place as solo. So this is a chance to start to pick up those points and really close the gap before our last and final game of the day. It's Jargo and King. They solidify their high ground, but there is a team down below. They're trying to pressure, and that's why they use that chance with the Flowberry Fizz to drop down ahead, reconnect themselves at the front side, and reclaim that high ground.
Yeah, Fizz coming in clutch right there, allowing them to not take any of that fall damage. Use that momentum to really build a nice foundation there. Rapid, though, on your screen right now is by himself here. He's got a lot of material, but he seems to be trapped. I don't love this spot that he's in right here, and I don't think he does either. Yeah, there it is. He backs off a little too close for all of our likings here. Gonna go ahead and stick around, gives himself a little bit more of that kind of mobility in the final moments. Lawrence and Batman Joe go for high ground, though, and they're the new guys up top. Meanwhile, Shadow's playing deep in the zone off the med miss.
Yeah, this $1.5 million up for grabs throughout the qualifier process. They want a piece of that pie. Iamzo and Josh want it as well. With a couple of big eliminations here at the end, they can close that gap and at least give themselves a shot at first place. But for Batman Joe and Lawrence, it's about rising up the ranks. They've already seen teams go from last to inside of the top 15. They want that to be them. Peterbot and Poyo want to reclaim their first place spot, and you see them pressure that team outside of the zone. He's able to get out safely, but for Peterbot and Poyo, the damage has been done. Huge flank onto them. Poyo taking most of that damage, but they quickly reposition.
Just Shadow's moment right here, too, in the bottom right. Look, he finds himself a med miss, and he's inside the storm. He has barely got anything to work with. He's going to have to give it up. He might actually just fall here. Meanwhile, Peterbot still fighting through, too. He finds another Elam here. That's a refresh for him. They're at 8 now. They're back in it. Top 10 situation unfolding here. Clicks and Higgs flying in from outside the zone. Where did they come from? Boyo's down and out, and it's up to Curve here, who actually dropped his teammate. But Peterbot has to sacrifice Boyo potentially right now.
Yeah, that's all you can do. You can't be the hero, especially with only one build, but he's looking back, finding elimination opportunities. Unfortunately enough, he gets taken down by Clicks and Higgs, who get their third elimination of the game. Slow and steady wins the race, so they're hoping that's them, but there's 4 teams left. All of the teams fully intact as duos, so nothing is going to come easy, but right above them is King and Jargo. You see them using their mobility to try to climb up the side of this mountain. One goes down, Josh falls, so there's only 2 duos still alive in this game.
No way. Are we going to watch Tex and IMNF go with the back-to-back victory royale right now? We'll just have to find out. Clicks is going to fall here from the high ground pressure. Down comes Tex, and Tex is just seemingly feeling himself here, and they find their 8th elimination in another victory there.
Are they the first team go back to back? We have Peterbot and Poyo with 2 wins already, but they're the first ones to go back to back. They want some of that prize pool. I talked about $1.5 million up for grabs throughout these qualifiers. A chance to get top 2 and claim your spot in the EWC. It's better late than never, but with only 1 game left, we have to throw it on over to Zeke to let us know what things are looking like.
Guys, I don't even know anymore. I don't even know. Okay, all right. Yes, Jacob, I believe that is correct. That's the first back-to-back, which is insane. Okay, we saw something happen in EU, a little similar, but not quite. Theirs was cooler, I'll admit it. Wow. I cannot believe it. Tex and I'm enough. They push height there in like the final few zones. Like we saw height change like 5 times. Okay? But for them to push at that perfect moment, oh my gosh, led to them getting 8 eliminations and the victory royale. Guys, they went into this game in 11th place. We're fighting for qualification. We're fighting for prize money. This has been a massive shift in their game. Vivid, they've got to be over the moon right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is a crazy resurgence from this team right now to go back to back. They've, pretty much got a large majority of their points just in these last 2 games right now. You can see it right there. They actually were able to, get to a total of 230 points. And Jacob was kind of talking about the timing on this pushing for the high ground. You saw how many of these eliminations from all of the low ground teams kind of got flooded into a single spot on the other side of that hill that kind of dropped off. They just knew that the high ground position was going to be amplified as how good it was because of where everybody else was on the map. Beautifully well timed out of this duo.
That was played just so well. And, we like to say better late than never. But what I want to say to this duo right now is please stick together. You guys have so much potential. And I know that there's going to be more finals coming up. It might just be too late to claim your spot in EWC right now. But you guys have just so much more to grow. And I truly think if they stick together, they're easily going to walk away in the top for the next finals we have.
Oh my. Fortnite do what Fortnite do, and it's cause chaos, be unpredictable, and provide entertainment. Oh my gosh, 1 game left to go. When we come back, we'll begin to prepare ourselves for the last game. We'll take a look at the standings, set it all up, and one last ride before we say goodbye. We'll see you in just a little bit.
Last game left, guys. Alright, I'll see you guys, well, I'm not ending the stream, but I'll be quiet the rest of the time. After the stream, the game's over and they stop talking, I will end the stream, but I'll see about you guys. There's not gonna be another one tomorrow, or not, I didn't see another scheduled one, so there's probably not gonna be another one. Alright, I'll see you guys in a few more minutes. I'll see you guys later. On a minute, actually. When they start talking, I'll say that.
Fortnite Dan, welcome back to the Reload Elite Series. One game left to go before we say goodbye. The top two at the end of this game will move on to EWC. Let's begin setting the stage for this final game. So really quickly, if you're just tuning in, you missed out. I Am Enough got himself the Victory Royale alongside Tech. 2 Victory Royales back-to-back, which is crazy. I wanted to just kind of put this into perspective because I think sometimes it might be difficult to be like, okay, like they just went up placement, whatever. As we turn our attention to the standings, these guys went from 11th place up to 6th place, okay? Jumping up 5 placements. Now, I know you're thinking like, well, Zeke, yeah, they're not qualifying, so it doesn't matter. It does matter, right? Because if we just look at the prize money, I wanted to break this down. Going from 11th place was $1,000. Up to 6th place is now $4,000. Guys, this is like a lot of money. So this is incredible. Please, if you have time, find these guys, celebrate with them. This is incredible, but the job's not done because now we have to take a look at who's trying to qualify. Friends, Peterbot and Boyle right now, after that last game, have now moved back up into that 2nd place spot. They did get a 6th place with 8 eliminations. Viv, why do we do this? Why do we have to have it like a pick or finish? Like, you know, like I'm starting to get stressed out because I'm starting to think like, what if they were to be eliminated outside of placement and that's it? They don't get to qual.
I mean, it's just how we do things over here on NA, man. We love to entertain. We love to go all the way down to the last game. Doesn't matter what format we're playing, but this was really scary because, I mean, yeah, this was actually a very huge game for Peterbot and Boyle. 6th place, 8 eliminations. You know, that kind of performance after dropping out of the top 2 is a huge bounce back for them. Honestly, worked out perfectly for them because Acorn and Bullets had a pretty bad game in regards to how they've been playing, right? That game for Acorn and Bullets was an 18th 1 elimination, so they kind of dropped down. But everybody up in that top 3 right now, Kelly, is still in contention. Very close.
They're definitely within contention, and this is reload mode, so I don't know how confident Peterbot and Poyo are, but it's that duo, so they must be confident. But we know what this duo does when they are put into the final game of a tournament series where qualification is up for grabs. I don't think Peterbot and Poyo are necessarily going to be changing up their incredible drop spot, but I do think that we might see them go a little bit more aggressive onto Acorn and Bolts. I don't think they're going to focus on Cold and Rapid, but I do think that there's a possibility that we might see the typical aggressive Peterbot play. And I mean, we saw them go more aggressive in that last game, and look how much better they did.
Guys, we got to turn attention. So obviously, Peterbot, Boyle, great stuff. Cold and Rapid, though, currently lead in 1st place by only 6 points, okay? We wanted to break down their performance over these games on the day because, man, they've had just a fantastic showing for today. Vivid, why don't you talk us through this?
I mean, yeah, it's all about how well they have done throughout today. We kept talking about it, you know, throughout game number 1 at 12th place, and then after that, it just continuously got better. Game number 7 is not included on this graph, but game number 7 for them was back to that kind of 12th place. So yeah, 2 kind of bad games right there in games number 1 and 7, but everything else has just been utter domination. I mean, so many top 5s for this duo right now, and it's just why they're in 1st place right now. They're just playing so well.
I would love to hear the comms from this duo. Hopefully one day we get to hear from them because I can only imagine what Cold is talking to Rapid here in this moment as a solo player, clutching so many placement points, and that still is what is holding them up in 1st place. In a little bit, we'll get you those points, and we can see just how close 1st, 2nd, even 3rd is. If Rapid can even just survive a few more placements, that could be the difference maker from 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, let's just start to look at even just this top 5, right? Because if we look at this breakdown, 270 is not that terribly far away from 320 points, right? I mean, any of the up and claim one of those 2 spots. I mean, even just look at the last game we had. 7 fell 18th place. Peterbot and Poyo, we saw them have games outside of the top 15. Anything can and anything. I think the only kind of area they're lacking is those elim. Had a 2nd place, 13 eliminations. This is literally going to come down to the wire.
I mean, yeah, you're talking about the eliminations. It's just hard to keep up in the elimination category when you do look at the top two teams. Cold and Rapid picking up 42 eliminations, 44 for Peterbot and Play. The fact of barely entering the 30s is just where that separation is being found on the leaderboard, right?
Listen, for me, for Higgs and Clicks, to see them playing hip to hip and staying alive, that was the big difference. I should be saying that is why we got to see them kind of stick with our 5th place spot now in the leaderboard. So they do want to get that 1st place spot. I don't know if we're going to see a victory royale of them today, but obviously it's Clicks and Higgs. If anyone can come out with a win, it might be them.
Oh, man, Fortnite fam, I hope you feel the stress the way I do, because we've got basically 5 teams fighting for 2 spots. And one of those teams is Peterbot and Pollo, and that could very well dictate who else gets to go through it, who doesn't. So much on the line here, and all eyes are on EWC. We must qualify. If we can get through now, we don't have to worry about it. There's no more pressure. I'll just take all the pressure. It's fine. It's fine. With that being said, for the last time, lock in, Fortnite fam. This is game number 8 of the Reload Elite Series. It's the calm before the storm. We're just inching our way towards the final moments here now, Jacob. And what is your prediction? Who's taking it?
Oh, I don't know. Before this tournament, you probably would have heard me say Peterbot and Pollo, but the way it's shaking down, we can see Acorn and Bolts have another phenomenal game. Cold and Rapid could lock it up. You got Shadow and Virgo, who've been flying under the radar, that could really use this to put themselves on the map. I think this is a good opportunity just to say, I love Fortnite. I love everybody competing. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I just can't wait for Game 8.
I know the community loves it as well, as everyone's sitting back at home. The watch party's going on right now. Here it is. It's game number 8.
Guys, don't be sad it's almost over. Be happy it happened, because so am I and Josh and Yamzo. A different approach. Instead of taking 2 different sides, it's Josh going right out of the gates, getting aggressive first Elim, and already closing out on Chargu. That's not just an Elim monster. That's an early game wipe.
Fully sent back to the lobby. You cannot lose your duo in those critical moments. And just like that, Yamzo and Josh have had enough. Pollo, Peterbot sticking to the trusty and true strategy of their draw spot. You know, I saw the rumors lingering. People saying, oh, he's of course gonna possibly land on Cold up top. But no, there's no reason to. Why put it all at risk like that? Peterbot knows better than anyone else that all he's got to do is play this game out to the best that he can. And that's just stay active. Find his way into that end game.
Yeah, and just kind of put in perspective, even if you're out of point range for first place, there's still thousands upon thousands up for grabs. Clicks and Higgs, they're trying to take matters into their own hands. They jump onto Yuz. Instead of as solos, you see they do it together. Higgs goes and approaches the box. Clicks puts pressure from far away, and that lands them 3 more points. Now they're only 1 point shy of Shadow and Virgo.
Rapid and Cold on the other side, still doing exactly what they do best, and that's finding Aloe Vera in another elimination here. They've managed to just continue to earn themselves consistent points against Jace, Aloe Vera, and anyone else who's kind of stepped into their territory. And this is so critical, right? Opening the gap, widening themselves away from Peterbot, Pollo, Acorn, and Rapid is going to be so important here.
And I feel like Cold played a year with Peterbot and his mindset. If you think Peterbot's just going to sit down and have a quiet game and maybe be happy qualified, you are crazy. So they're just getting ahead of the curve. You know they're going to come online. You know they're going to go for eliminations. So instead of waiting and going Elim for Elim later on in the game, let's say, hey, let's pick off these teams that are around our side of the map, get our early game eliminations, build ourselves a cushion so that way later on we don't have to make the risky plays.
And Rapid is so smart. Notice he chased down Aloe Vera and then cut him back off. He already knows what he's going to come spawning in from. And this is them really trying to min-max the situation at hand here.
But Ager's doing the same thing on the whole north side of the map. Does look like he took down Osick, cleans that one up. That's their first elimination of the game. Ager's closing the distance, getting right on back. But this is looking like a literal foot race to try to cross that top 2 finish line. Yuz gets right back into the game, and Rapid goes right back on the chase.
This is crazy. They're like ping-ponging these points back and forth right here, and now they find the conversion onto Yuz. Meanwhile, Peterbot, Pollo, just silence. Right, they're calm right here, but no, this is not good. Pollo's gonna floor you. Peterbot actually has to go running here from sitting curve. Something went clearly wrong just now.
Yeah, they were looking to get aggressive. They thought they had an isolated fight. It just did not work out for them. Luckily for Peterbot, though, he's been on it in terms of disengaging and trying to survive. Rapid gets another elimination onto Allo. I kind of feel bad for Allo right now, just kind of getting stuck out there. It's not so much anything Allo can do either. His teammate needs to create distance. Otherwise, he's just going to keep spawning in the same spot over and over and over. Clicks and Higgs roll up onto Slurpee Swamp. They get the rebooted Poyo down. So now they know Peterbot is somewhere around here and they have a chance to farm.
They are looking for it, and that is the replay from Higgs and how he ends up shutting out Boya. There it is. Just continue to track him down. Higgs wants nothing to do with this launch pad here. He's going to go in and remove it. It's just one less, opportunity for Boya or someone to kind of recycle that and get away from them. It seems like they're just trying to condition the area the best that they can at the moment. Ritual, Dangers on the other side, keeping up the activity here. Back onto Resi. Low ground and of course Paper.
It's just a little bit of a risky situation due to the loadout of Ritual. He can't necessarily just push into the box and hope for, a shot or two to land. He does have the Ranger. It does deal a good amount of damage, but you have to be accurate. When he drops in, he's willing to risk it all. He has to try to get that shockwave, but it almost looked like he dropped the shockwave right away after picking it up.
Yeah, that was a complete mistake. Just try to switch out for the Flowberry Fizz. Okay, so he wanted to drop it for the Fizz, and that's what he ends up doing. But look, that's actually two different duos. For a second there, I was like, oh yeah, this looks a little weird. Like each of y'all are fighting different teams, and maybe they didn't quite recognize that. But either way, we're still back in it. Acorn and Bolt on the other side, just going back to being absolutely passive here. Instead of going for early position deep in the zone, now they're playing this like if it's a top tier FNCS endgame rotation right now. Going back to the old trusty dead side rotates here. Just trying to stay out of harm's way seems to be the strategy at the moment.
Yeah, and you're kind of looking at that leaderboard, you can see they're 15 points away from that second place spot. A little bit more of an extension and point gap between them in first place. And realistically, if you're a team that's outside of top two, you don't need to win the tournament to go to the EWC. Right. You just need a top two finish. So getting second place would be a win in its own mind, barring anybody and, their egos and wanting to get that first place spot. Hey, sometimes you just got to take what you can get. And for Acorn and Bolts, if they can somehow manage to edge out that second place spot, I think they'd be just as happy.
It's actually pretty hilarious. It's like, yo, Peterbot, Boya, throw caution to the wind. Get out there. Have fun. Put it all on the line. And if Vegas head back to the lobby, obviously, Acorn and Bolts will be able to benefit from that. But here we have it, a very close competition nonetheless, guys. Money is on the line. There's actually so much on the line here besides the, of course, qual placement points. All these qualifiers are going to be, opportunities for the pro players. So every single fight does matter, even here and now. Jumping back to Peterbot and Boya, though, not a single point earned here. The first fight they took clearly didn't go in their favor. Boya forced out of there and then sent back several times by the hands of Higgs here. So seems now they're trying to get their footing.
Yeah, chance to refarm at the building next to them. They feel like they've probably done enough in terms of early game skirmishes up until this point to give themselves a chance. They're hoping at least at this point, all they have to do is beat out any team below them in terms of placement points, just kind of match most of them. That would be Acorn, Bold, Shadow, Virgo, Clicks, and Higgs. The hot treat of Teaks and Enough as well. So even though, the point just gets larger and larger as you go down those placement points, they're still all threats to steal away that spot.
Back on over to Bolts and Acorn here. That rotate paying off dividends right here as they find themselves one of the first to the new zone now. Still plenty of material to work with, and this is more or less the optimal situation they want to be in. The only problem I can see is that Peterbot and Boya are nearby, and, they're kind of on the hunt right now.
Yeah, they're ramping things up little by little as time continues to pass. We jump up more Teaks. Enough, such a major burst up the ladder. Talk about prize money from $500 split to $4,000 after those back-to-back wins, and they're not done just yet. You go up another placement, an extra $2,000, up an extra $2,000. There's still a ton of money to be won, and you got to think of the flip side for Clicks and Higgs. They're working their way up that leaderboard as well, but for them, it's not about the money. It's about the accolades. It's about going to EWC. It's about getting time to rest in between some of these qualifiers as Higgs keeps the aggression going. That's mopping on the other side that he's trying to break into the box on.
Yeah, Definitely, and as we all know, we don't want to see them finish fourth either, right? So there's a lot at play here, and he's kind of playing a little too close to the sun. Colin Rapid on the other side, though. Jumping back to the 6 eliminations, what we watched them do just, not even 5 minutes ago, was earn themselves so many points, and now they've almost developed somewhat of a cushion here. Higgs and Clickstone on the other hand, getting back into the fight, taking out Mopping here. Do keep in mind, Mopping and Regular did manage to find themselves a victory out in multiple end games here, so that's an excellent set of eliminations there, well earned for Clicks and Higgs. I'm going to go ahead and keep them in the conversation. They are also finding their way up now. We've seen several teams now get close to 80-plus points earned in a singular game, so it really does tell you, kind of show you that anything can happen here. 4 elims now for Clicks and Higgs, and they're setting themselves up for a really strong end game now.
Yeah, last game wonder is kind of what they're looking for. Golden Acorn again. Jason Allo, literally all the way from Steamy Stacks to Slurpy Swamps, has Cold and Rapid on their heels. It's like a fly at a picnic. You shoo them away. They just keep on coming back. That's their 7th elimination. Placement points haven't even come in yet, and they've extended their lead almost by 21 points.
Oh my gosh. Rapid going for the edit course here. Really trying to put it on the table, but no. Clicks and Higgs kind of fight back here, pushing back, giving them a little bit of resistance there. Now they just let their guard down. I mean, that would have been kind of interesting to see play out, but all that for nothing as the zone doesn't even end here. It pulls to the opposite side, so a huge commitment now from Rapid. Must be regretting the fact that they just burned through like 300 or 400 metal there.
I'm hoping that elimination they got shortly before that gave enough of that metal. But the most precious of the material, it's the only thing I'm thinking where you would get that much confidence. But they rotate out. Clicks and Higgs starting to rotate out. Mopping Regular fresh off the respawn from Mopping, beginning to start his rotate on out. Hoping that there is some scraps left behind, whether if it's heals or some sort of a shotgun, because you know how difficult this game can be without a pump in your inventory.
Yeah, most definitely. Meanwhile, Acorn and Bolts haven't really moved an inch. Sitting nice and pretty here. Kind of bunkered up and on top of the launch pad. I didn't even realize they were kind of holding that one right there. So they're ready for a quick escape if they have to. There it is. They're setting it up to go ahead and bust a move out the side there. And this is the last chance now. This is everyone's last opportunity. This is game number 8 here of the Reload Elite Series for anyone just opening up.
I'll be right back, guys.
Broadcast here today. Computer box slowdown.
Mythic, Slurp Juice, full fizz, full shockwaves. If you guys heard that sound, the timer beeping down. Reboots have officially turned off in the last game of the day. So now, if you are down, you are 100% out, forced to watch the rest of the tournament. Side by side with us, welcome to the couch. We'd love to have you. But now we get to see which teams outlast. We still got Cold Rapid alive, Peter Koyo, Acorn Bolts, even got Shadow and Virgo, and of course Clicks and Higgs, our top 5.
Top 5 looking strong right now. Setting up for the photo finish here. Clicks Higgs eyeing up the competition up top. There's no threat though. Off they go with the shockwaves. 347 for Cold and Rapid after they were fed an incredible amount of eliminations they picked up in the early game as Steamy Stacks. Peter Boyo not as lucky. They had no one at their draw spot. They had too strong of a starter performance, and pretty much all the competition moved away. It's kind of slowed down ever since.
I like that quick reposition from them. They're not ultimate high ground by any means, but they are elevated 3 layers up, allowing them to get a good vantage point of everybody around us and jump back on over to Higgs. And one thing I noticed, he's carrying that hunting rifle. It's essentially like a pseudo double pump of its own, but if you hit the headshot, it's absolutely disgusting. We're getting all the tricks out. A mythic goldfish in the inventory of Agers, and we know how that can turn things around. It can also one pump those builds. So if they're going for a little bit of piece control, the pre-piece on anybody around them, that makes it that much easier.
Yeah, and imagine you're inside of metal. It's the last thing you expect is someone to just insta-destroy your build like that, especially without the sound of the shockwave following up behind it. So we'll see how it ends up playing out. Zone pops, far east it goes. Here it is, Rapid, Cold. Pretty much the last ones on the edge of the zone here, forced to go with the big Flowberry Fizz into the shockwave there. Rapid ends up sliding just past some enemy territory, find himself on the inside. Don't know where Cole landed though. It seems like he might have just missed the mark somehow. This could be start of something bad, but no. Cole finds his way down. Peterbot and Boyo struggling to get through. A lot of pressure coming in here.
Sorry
And
guys,
up,
still this round.
Peterbot goes forced
I'm gonna zap him
early
anyway, so.
shockwave there, and they're just starting to gas out. Peterbot says, forget about it. I gotta go for height here. He needs visual. He needs to regain control of the situation here.
Oh,
That
really?
mythic AR. Look at the damage it can put out when he pretty much finds the headshot there. It is just devastating.
Yeah, damage just continues to ramp up as well with each shot hits. Now Drew and Chris are in that line of sight, but Rapid and Cole did find a way to reunite. You said it yourself. A little bit of separation. Cole even got his shields knocked down to nothing. But once they reunite, it's like smooth sailing on the high ground. 323 points. Only one elimination. A much slower pace that we've seen, but it's time for them to lock in. They don't want to see that second place spot slip through their fingers.
Well, as we both know, placement points wins games, at least so far. This is the most crucial moment of the tournament here and now. They are, again, very wide away from at least, you know, the amount of points that we know first place is holding at the moment. So there is quite the fight still ahead of us.
Yeah, you got Bolts down below. He's rotating with Acorn, but it's right close by. Clicks and Higgs, another huge threat in this lobby. Rapid and Cold, they don't like that layer, so they instantly waterfall down below the low ground. This is something we've seen in a couple of those previous games where they both found success, but they also got taken down early. And while all this is going down, nobody has had a chance to look up, contest, or put pressure on a Peterbot and Froyo. So nobody is going to know what's going to hit them if they continue to ride freely.
Don't count out Bolts there. Don't count out Acorn. You saw them just finding their groove right now. 3 more eliminations. Rapid Colt still at 7. Top 12 now. Placement points is going to start getting given out. Peterbot, Boya wasting one of those med miss already there, showing that they were desperate to stay maximum HP, not looking to let their guard down at all right now. Even Peterbot here just going and capping off, using that Flurry Fizz, reconnecting back to these old builds here. But this is not enough. They gotta find their immediate competition and somehow get them out of here, or turn this into a huge win. But so does Bolt and Acorn here. I'm thinking this is gonna go down to who can get this victory out here.
Yeah, and for Bolt and Acorn, they're below 18 points to start this game. You cannot go placement for placement with Peterbot and Koyo because eventually it'll become mathematically impossible for them to catch up. So they got to come online and find elimination. This Rapid and Cold quick replay of how they're shaking out. This is our first place team. Cold goes down. Rapid's in a struggle, and he's going to fall just as placement points start to set in. This is truly a chance for Acorn, Bolt, Shadow, Virgo, and even Clicks and Higgs to take that second place spot.
And now we're inside the top 10, and somehow Peterbot and Boy only have a single elimination, but we just said it. It's so much more important to make sure you get those placement points. This could be Acorn's game. This could be Peterbot's game here and now. Bolts, Acorn gets to the front side of the zone. Acorn actually falls short. Bolts gets his surface off, though. He's going to manage to heal up. Peterbot is taking way too much zone here, and that's a small mistake on his side. So look at this. No perfect play at the moment.
Mathematically, I don't even know what the equation is, but if it's going to happen, it's going to be off the back of both trying to clutch. Peterbot and Poyo as well. They're fighting for the first place spot, but Poyo does go down, and Peter follows. 7th place is all they're going to get. Bolt is giving himself a chance. Another elimination. Cypher keeping him up, but he falls as well. Everybody is down.
I don't know who got second, but it's going to be incredibly close here. And just like that, it's up to everyone else. Curve still in the game though, playing for a dub here. 11 eliminations for Curve and Sin, and it is just chaos here in the end game. The last team standing is down at the bottom, and Curve's up top. It's Lum and Stiff who found themselves at 9 eliminations there, Jacob. Up they go as they try to find themselves as Victor Royale, but my gosh, what a series it has been. This is going to be a crazy close finish for everyone. Who's going to the land? We'll find out later. But 10 eels for the dub there. What a game, Jacob.
My heart can't take all this excitement, monster. We saw first go down, second go down, third go down, and in the fashion they did it, it was all within placement points, so I don't even know. My math can't do the math.
Well, we are just going to have to find out, of course. Game number 8 is now wraps. Zeke, who better than to throw it on over to you?
Guys, I'm pretty, hold on. I just need like once. Okay, all right, it's fine. That was an insane back and forth. Okay, this was basically like a three-way battle. Okay, Holden Rapid, Peterbot Pollo. They were fighting it out. Clicks and Higgs as well. We'll get to that first. I do want to celebrate Stifferoony and Lum FB. Congratulations, you guys. A big victory out here, especially in game number 8. That is incredible. More placement, more prize money to be had. Congratulations to the duo. Man, there's so much to unpack in that game, David.
I mean, yeah, we were trying to like watch every POV, trying to, pick up on little things, see if we can see how this game was actually going to pan out at the top of the leaderboard. I don't even know. And then amongst all of the chaos, yeah, Lum and Stith are able to pick up the win there in the very final game. Like Zeke mentioned, we go ahead and earn themselves some extra prize money. But we all know what we want to see. We want to know what actually happened on the leaderboard.
You know, and I'm just going to keep my words short. Zeke, what we got?
Okay, we'll get into the standings in a second. Don't bring them up yet. Okay. So first place went through with 351. Second place was 343. And there was a 342. Single point separated second and third place. Let's bring up the standings. It is time. Cold and Rapid overall walk away as the #1 duo. But look just the next tier down. Peterbot and Pollo by a single point. Beat out Acorn and Bolts. I cannot believe what I am seeing, okay? In this last game, Peterbot Pollo get an 8th place with 1 elim. Acorn and Bolts walk away 6th place with 4 elims. Had they gotten a single additional placement, a single elim, it could have been Acorn and Bolt. A single point, Vivid. How does Peterbot and Pollo get away with this?
I mean, they get away with it because they earned it. They played so good throughout the day. Yeah, in the middle there, right? If you take a look at games 4, 5, and 6, they were a little bit slow, but because of how well they did in all of the other games, they just had such a lead. Those 3 games effectively did not end up meaning much. And look at this, actually a mistake towards the end, right? Just flying all over the place, trying to kind of make something happen, and maybe a little bit timid there from the duo, picking up 0 eliminations, not finding the refreshes that we're used to seeing them actually find in the end game. But maybe it was all calculated. They knew they just had to stay alive, pick up enough placement points to just barely go ahead and qualify.
And we saw how close it was from Peter to get eliminated actually around zone 8 there. He was getting absolutely sprayed and still was able to shockwave himself directly to Pollo, recover, and then heal back up. I swear, regardless of what is going on with Peterbot, if you put an exotic in that man's hand, anything is possible.
We got to celebrate Cold Rapid. Right, 351 points, beating out Peterbot and Pollo. This is the duo that won on the day. My gosh, I mean, we kind of broke down their stats just a game ago. Vivid, a very consistent day. What I think is really kind of, when you look at the stats, right? So a 7th, a 5th, a 4th, and then 2 seconds back-to-back. Elim sprinkled throughout. But they never dropped outside of the top 12. They had 3 12th places across their 8 games. And even in those 12 places, 3 elims, 4 elims, and finally 7. This is a terrifying duo. They took consistency to a way that I didn't even know could happen in Reload. Given the chaotic nature of it, they made Reload consistent. How did they do this?
I mean, they're just so good. That's how we know Cole, we know Rapid at this point in time. Teaming them up together, it's always going to be scary. And when you kind of take a look at the standings, right, how close it was between first and third place, 351 points, all the way to 342 points there in that third place. Because of how aggressive they were in that early game, they pretty much got all of their eliminations, 7 of them, in that final game from the early game. I mean, you take away 3 of those eliminations, and all of a sudden they drop straight back down there into the mix. They actually tie for third place, and they would actually lose that tiebreaker. So straight up to how many eliminations they were able to pick up in the early game was the difference maker right there in the final game. But played so phenomenal throughout the day. A well-deserved first place for the duo.
100%. They were so smart in how they handled that early game, especially when you had Bird and Mopping and Jason Allo right next to them contesting each other. It was just free eliminations, and obviously they're so smart, they're so aware of what's going on around them, that anytime it looked like any of those players were fighting each other, they would just jump in third party and get the eliminations for themselves. Cold and Rapid also, like we're saying, they're going for these early aggressions, these early elims, but we watch the chaos of the end game, and they just are never a part of that chaos. It feels like they're playing a completely different game. They are so calm and collected, and I mean, that shows just how much the focus of aggression going from early to late game can really make or break these teams. I love to see Cold and Rapid shifting in the middle of a game from going from aggressive to passive. I love it.
Oh my gosh, again, it's just that adaptation, right? The meta within the meta. They just had it down, and the moment that Peterbot and Toyo kind of fell apart just a little bit, it was enough for them to take that lead and hold it. My gosh. Fortnite fam, we have a graphic lined up to see who all has qualified through Qualifier 1 to EWC. There are still a couple here that are marked TBD, but my gosh, take a look at your first set of qualifiers. Dude, if I'm looking at this graphic, I'm a little scared, right? Like, you start to look at some of these names and you think, dude, I've got to compete against you on land later on in E. I better make sure I am prepared, because this is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we can see so many familiar names here. I mean, across every single region, it's incredible to see how good these Fortnite players are adapting, right? Like OCE, we see Alex in the mix, Asia, we see Coyote. Like, we're just so used to seeing all of these names.
No, seriously, Gon, Knight, Fahad, Shari, these are all the top players from their respective region. Also, we were talking about how close this was. OCE literally came down to a tiebreaker for first place.
Wow.
I love reload mode. It really just makes it so much more competitive. And we get to see a lot of our veterans, but also some new names also get the shining light. I love this, Zeke. Let's get more reload in there.
We will, Kelly. In the very near future, we'll be back for Qualifier 2 out of this competition. My gosh, the Reload Elite Series has not disappointed. Reload, super fun. We hope you guys at home have had a fantastic time watching this. Before we say goodbye, Vivid, Kelly, I want to give you guys the floor. What do you want to say?
I absolutely loved Qualifier 1. Cannot wait until the other 3 qualifiers. Couple weeks away from Qualifier number 2. Congratulations to Cold and Rapid and Peterbot and Play. No surprise that those are the duos coming out on top. Had a ton of fun today with, of course, my best friends and the Fortnite fan.
I mean, just exactly what Vivid said. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to the players for making this so entertaining, and to everyone that makes Fortnite what it is. I mean, we're here because of you guys. Thank you so much, and cannot wait for the next Reload Elite Series finals.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Fortnite fam. Until Qualifier 2, we love you. Keep yourself safe, and we'll see you on that battle bus.
Beep, beep.
It was fun watching that with you guys. I'm not sure the next weekend will be one or not. When it is, we will live stream it and watch it together. Um, Still don't know yet. We'll see what happens next weekend. When there is a next finals weekends, I will live stream it and watch it with you guys. I will. When I'm not busy. So, thanks for watching, guys. Hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 3,000 subs by 2027. So this year, 2026. And yeah, I just want to hit 3,000 subs before the year ends, and maybe before Christmas. So, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you. It was fun watching that with you guys. It was fun, really, really fun watching that with you guys. Alright, guys, I'll see you guys next weekend.